Hey, Teresa. So good to see
Hey, how
you.
are you?
I'm doing awesome. So obviously we are both into health and wellness, and we both like to work out. We both like to eat well. And I know that you and I have talked a couple, multiple times over the last 2 or 3 months, and we've been sharing with people that we really love GLP-1s and that we've both been microdosing. I think you since the end of last year and me since January. And people like kind of look at us like we're, cross-eyed and go, well, why would you do that? So my question to you is, why would someone who owns a gym, who helps people, with their health, like why would you go and microdose a GLP-1?
Oh my gosh, I get this. I get it. I get it all the time, especially in messages on social media when people are like, "Why? Why?"
Right. Like you don't
And
need to lose weight, so why?
I know. And then, I will send my before and after sometimes and I'm like, this is why. This is what I was hiding that people did not see.
Mhm.
And then, I'll tell my rest of my story. So I was introduced to microdosing GLP-1 back in actually the end of September last year.
Okay.
So it's been about 7 months now.
Mhm.
And my telehealth doctor, who was helping me with my hormones and my hypothyroidism, uh, he actually he actually suggested that I do it. And I was also going on HRT the following month. He said this will help. And I had read other things. I had heard from an integrative practitioner friend of mine, and some other people that said that it will also help with absorption in the body. And I'm like, well, okay, number one, I my doctor who is kind of Western and functional together. I absolutely love him. Because even like for my hypothyroidism, he has me on a supplement and it has really helped. Now that's not saying that it will help everybody. I have a touch of it, enough that it was causing problems. So I never want to say, oh, you can do this and that and it's gonna get rid of this and
Right.
that because that's
Talk to
just
your
not how it
provider.
is. So I never want to come across the wrong way when I say stuff. But so I started the microdosing of GLP-1. And what microdosing is, because I had no idea what it was, well, is that it's just a very small amount. It's a lower dose, it's a very small amount. There are, not everybody needs to have these larger amounts for weight loss. I didn't come in this for weight loss. I didn't start for that. And but I wasn't mad at what it did either. So
Clearly, I've
I
seen your after pictures.
and I didn't look bad, but as I was, I'm 57 years old, or wow, okay, in 3 weeks I'll be 57 years old. And while I was still at the time at like 127 pounds or something like that, and I worked out, I eat right, I try to get better sleep. I like to watch TV at night, so kind of wind me down, but I know that's not good. Anyway, I'm hydrated like crazy, all this stuff. We're super active in that. And of course, my dog Layla Doodle, as I go like this, because she's right there. We're always outside doing stuff, but my body was changing like in the opposite direction. And I was like, what's happening here? Years ago I lost 60 pounds. And so I know what to do. And kept it off all that time. And I'm like, why isn't it working anymore? And I had already switched over to lifting instead of so much cardio, which, as we get older, even when we're younger, we should be lifting. But I didn't like to lift back then. I just liked all the big cardio classes and the burn. Um, and so I'd already started strength training and I couldn't understand why my body wasn't reacting to everything, wasn't getting the results that I was putting in or that I felt like I was. Well, oh my gosh, on this tiny little amount of GLP-1, literally within a couple of weeks, I felt like my entire midsection kind of went, not like when I was 20 years old or anything, but it really went in
Yeah.
and literally to the point like I'm reaching down because literally the bottom of my sports bras right here on my diaphragm, I have a big diaphragm from boxing all these years, just all the way around, shoulders and all. They were loose. And I was like, what's happening?
Wow.
What is this? And and everything just felt like it went back to where it was before. And my no longer were the top of my leggings, since I'm a gym owner and live in leggings. And they weren't tight around my waist anymore. I could cover that up with shirts. And like nobody really realized, the baggy shirts is a great thing. But I didn't like it. So here I didn't like it, here I didn't like it. And it wasn't, I just didn't feel right. Well, that inflammation went down, and I say that I've had lots of people ask me recently, how do you know it was inflammation? I was like, well, my entire body changed, and I only lost 3.5 pounds. And that was at 5 months. And now I've lost a couple more pounds, and but not trying even. And I think that's just everything else really kicking in and digging in like it's supposed to,
Yeah.
my body going, yes, I know what to do.
Yep.
Let's go.
I'm back.
Um, so it has been a blessing, such a blessing in disguise that I really had no idea it was going to be. And then I went on to learn about all these other benefits
Mhm.
that even microdosing a GLP-1, like in menopause, and what throughout times, but menopause and talking to so many women and what it's done for them, and it just kind of solidifies what I was feeling. And then I'm like, is this really, how is this really how it is, how it can be? And then so I have high LDL. Both my mom and dad and families have heart things going on. And my doctor at the time was trying to figure out why it was high. He's like, it shouldn't be high. The way lifestyle that you lead and all of that, and how you eat, and kind of figured out that more than likely it is because of family stuff. And he said, well, being on a low dose of GLP-1 is it benefits that too, or that's what
Yeah.
I've learned, I should say. And because it helped. There's a lot of heart health stuff as well as like a myriad of other things. It's crazy how much just a tiny amount of GLP-1 can do. But on the weight loss side of it, for people, it is, I wouldn't say that it's all microdosing. So I don't want to put that out there either. Because depending on how much weight somebody has to lose, we do want them to do a little bit, more, and where their body is going to get the results. So, but it's not something that I need to be on forever if I don't want to be. But with the way I'm feeling right now, I'm not mad.
That's so awesome. I love that. I really do. Um, I'm happy, that you gave it a shot based on what your functional medicine doctor and your integrative practitioner, it was like, checking it out and seeing, how because again, we're also individualized. I mean, that's something I talk about all the time. Like,
Oh
what
yeah.
works for one person and another person doesn't mean necessarily it's going to work for you. But, or even if, again, the dosing is it's still, you need to play around and figure out like what makes you feel great and what brings down the inflammation, without having, side effects. And so it sounds
Mm-hmm.
really figured that out. And although you didn't go into it at all for weight loss, like it sounds like it's also been benefiting you with the hormone replacement, with your thyroid, which I know that there's some more data and stuff coming out. Some of the doctors and other people I listen to who actually have like hormone clinics and thyroid clinics are saying that they've been using it with thousands and thousands of patients with thyroid conditions and with kidney conditions and cardiovascular and having phenomenal results
Yeah.
at these lower doses and going very slow and really just again working with each person individually. um yeah, and that's kind of honestly, I'm a cellular nutrition coach, so I love to look inside the body and figure out what's going on from a chemistry standpoint, from the blood. And I'm always looking for ways to not only help myself with like anti-aging protocols, and also, there's genetics, but I feel like you can change your genetics, not change it, but you can overcome them through epigenetics, through like the environmental factors. So even though I've got
Yeah.
major cardiovascular disease on both sides of my family, my mom had a stroke, my dad had a serious MI, heart attack 3 years ago. His father died of heart attack. Like it runs pretty rampant in my family. And so, it was like, okay, what kind of things can you do to protect yourself cardiovascularly so you
Yeah.
don't end up with the same things that, because you grew up in the same environment, like how do you change your environment and what you're putting into your body? And obviously, I eat very, very clean as well. Not that we don't have cheats here and there, but for the most part, we
Yeah.
do
You have
the
to.
right things 80 to 85% of the time. And obviously love to work out and do all the things, lymphatic, decongesting and all the stuff, right? Like I would say that I'm a
Yep.
pretty on point person, but I went into perimenopause. I didn't quite realize it. Now I know because I've been researching and studying, but like 2 years ago. And, it has been like a wild ride trying to figure out the bioidentical hormones. And, I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So I've got a pretty severe since I was, I don't know, in my 20s, late 20s, I was diagnosed with that. So,
Oh
trying to
wow.
keep all the things, in balance, and you get to a point and your body just doesn't do like the same things that you were doing before, all the exercise and all the this and that. And you're like, wait a minute, I'm literally not changing anything. and nothing is going right anymore. And it's so, as a woman, it's
That's
so,
exactly how I felt.
I'm like,
Exactly.
this is ridiculous. Like, I literally haven't changed anything. If anything, I'm being better because I'm like trying to, and I'm like, nothing's happening. And that is like, I think that's probably one of the worst things. And I know there's women out there right now that are listening. It's like, why even bother anymore? Because when you do something
Hmm.
4 months and you don't see anything, in fact, sometimes you see the opposite happening, you're like, this is stupid. I'm not going to keep working this hard for literally zero results or the opposite.
Yeah.
So, again, I listen to a lot of functional doctors, holistic practitioners, naturopathic doctors, medical doctors. I've got really good regenerative medicine doctor friends who've been using these things. Like people think they're new. He's been using it for 10 plus years. It's not,
Hmm.
I mean, he's like, yeah, no, Jen, this isn't new. He's like, I've been using it with my patients out in Arizona for over 10 years. I'm like, oh, okay. And again, doing it individualized and making sure that the person that they're working with, that we're working with, has all the other things in place. They're getting the proper nutrition, their resistance training, they're having the right minerals and making sure that they're not depleted from nutrients. You make sure that their elimination pathways are open, that they're doing all those things. But when they're doing those things and you truly know that they're doing that and they're not seeing results, I just think it's a cool thing to be able to add on if someone's, open to just trying it and
Yeah.
seeing how they feel and what kind of benefits. I know for me, inflammatory, it's made a huge difference in some arthritis pain that been dealing with for like probably 3 or 4 years, probably was starting of like the whole, hormone shifts. And just, better sleep. I have, a little bit of the heat stuff, but not nearly what people complain about all the time. So I know that that's helping with that. And I believe it's helping with
You're
my
lucky.
yeah, no, I'm really lucky. And I believe it's also helping with my thyroid. So, again, I'll
Hmm.
continue to monitor, but I do think, I think people need to realize that everybody is different and individual, but it's okay to have a conversation with a provider, and really just ask them if you are doing, especially if you're doing all the things and you're not getting the results, you know, research and figure out if it's for you.
Right.
Talk to the provider. Um, get labs. Try to figure it out. We have to be our own best advocates because no one's going to do it for us. But we deserve,
Hmm.
not just as women. I mean, all of us, people in general, but especially women, because we're taking care of so many different things. We don't have to go through it and just go, well, I'm getting older. Like I truly say to people, no, I get to choose how I age. Like I
Exactly.
don't care what you say, but if you look at me and say it's because I'm getting older, I'm going to call bullshit.
I love that.
I am. I'm calling
Yeah.
bullshit because
Yep.
I'm
I literally
46.
had that. My OBGYN, when I asked her about something, it was 2 years ago, and she's like, "Oh, honey, you're just reading too much on the internet." And I'm like, you know what? I have lots of friends, not just in the health and wellness space and the fitness space, but even in, holistic medicine and that. And there's a lot of stuff out there that can help. And she's like, no, I had to literally go find somebody that would address the things that I was feeling and dealing with.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess probably the main thing and takeaway is that number one, be your best advocate, be your own best advocate. If the person that you are working with is not listening to you or basically trying to give you some sleep meds and some anti-anxiety meds, it might be time for you to go and find another physician or provider who can actually listen to you and
Yeah.
work with you to get some answers. And, I mean, I know you've got people, I've got people, I do not physician stuff. I do, like I said, nutrition stuff. I still find out a lot of things for people and my clients get great results. But bottom line is don't just take that as okay, this is just me getting older. I
Yeah.
have to basically go through menopause. And I just was listening to Dr. Sarda, Carrie Sarda. She works with Gary Brecka. Um, she's been a functional medicine OBGYN for many years, and she was saying that like, people say, well, I got through menopause. She goes, you're not getting through it. She goes, you are now at much higher risk because you didn't address it, perimenopause, menopause, and now you're saying you got through it. She's like, that's you something, it's gonna come up somewhere. So
Yeah.
don't get through it. Talk to somebody and get some answers. We're not saying GLP-1 is for everybody or that it's even for you, but um, you know, we both have gotten a lot of questions as to why, and that's why. That's why we've chosen, like you said, whether or not we stay on it or we cycle it or whatever. I mean, I love peptides, so I like cycling them, but bottom line is they can be a really amazing um, way to increase your health benefits while also, getting your metabolic reset in check.
Right.
So,
Right. And something that I love that I've learned since is that, I have a lot of people that ask me, they're like, yeah, but my insurance denied it, or my doctor won't
yeah.
even consider it. And it's the whole thing about advocating for yourself. And again, I am not saying, circumvent your healthcare or anything like that, providers. But they're like there's a company that I work with now that their whole thing is providing peptides and better health and longevity and even weight loss and even sexual health through being able to get the peptides, and it's all through doctors
Mhm.
and through a doctor telehealth concierge service. And I just there's always a way, and there's always a legal way. Let's put it that
Oh,
way.
absolutely. And a
And
safe way where
yeah,
there's,
and a safe
again,
way where
provider.
there's doctors monitoring you, and
Mhm.
that are like peptide specialists,
Mhm.
and they've studied these, they know what to do, and they've done all the stuff already, and it's brought to you. But yeah, so it's a whole thing of advocating. I was just talking to a woman the other day on the phone, and she said her OBGYN would not even do blood tests. They wouldn't test even her hormones, let alone her thyroid, all the thyroid stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean she wouldn't test it? And I've heard this multiple times actually in the last like 2 months. And I'm like, I'm like the fact that they don't want to even do that and be open that there's something else going on that they can't see on the surface is just totally foreign to me. But yeah, it's and even longevity wise, a lot of times the doctors will say, well, your BMI isn't high enough. The insurance will say your BMI isn't high enough. Well, that's not always the end game anymore.
Right.
I mean, for those of us that need it for health reasons and for, to help in menopause, and that there's
Aging.
a longevity, there's a way to get it, to get it that for longevity purposes.
Yeah.
And I just think that is absolutely incredible. And so many women are just going to benefit from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys too, we don't want to forget about
Yeah.
the guys,
Oh
but
yeah.
women tend to be the ones that are not being heard and are being
Yeah.
put off. And so really the message is for them. But yeah, I mean, peptides are the future
Yeah.
of healthcare. 100%. I said that like about probably not quite a year ago. And I stand by that. And I believe that it's going to get more and more because we really do need to look at things that are super, super safe. Truly, when used appropriately,
Yeah.
with there, the side effects are non-existent when you use it appropriately, and the people are doing all the things, right?
And
And
you
you're
have the
not putting
support.
in, yeah,
Yes.
it is, it just, you have benefit after benefit after benefit with like super, super, super low risk. And I mean, again, every person needs to work with their provider or the provider that
Hmm.
they
Yeah.
see through telehealth, but bottom line is they are the wave of the future. So
Yeah,
again,
I heard a stat recently that and by the year 2030, that 68% of people will be using some sort of peptide therapy. And I was just like,
I
that's really not that far away. That's only 5 years away.
was gonna
Uh,
say it's 5 years.
That's only 5 years. And that just shows, the leaps and bounds that are happening now, and that have already happened and that are happening now.
Yeah,
And it's just, kind of at the forefront of things here, but yet not at the forefront because it has
right.
been 20 years that they've been
Forever.
around.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of at
Hey,
the
do you want
forefront.
to, do you want to, do you want to share really quick why you actually went on a GLP-1? Again, looking at you, knowing you, you wouldn't ever think, "Oh, why would she use a GLP-1?"
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've had like thyroid issues, Hashimoto's for, a long time, since my late 20s. I'm 46. And then perimenopause, like, you know what I mean? Like trying to dial in and figure out, like I said, obviously the brain fog and like I said, definitely some joint pain, some I mean, I called it arthritis, but I guess it was more like just, again, my body
Well, that's
just,
part of perimenopause and menopause. There's a lot of the unexplained joint, I
yeah.
like to say, discomfort
And it's
that
so
that people feel, and there's like no answer for it. And again, we just get it's just getting older.
Yeah,
No.
and I'm like, "No," or they'll say, "You need to go get a shot." But, like, when it gets to the point where, like, I love to work, I do like to work out. I've worked out since I was 17, and when I have to tell my trainer, like, "Hey, I need to be careful how I'm holding it," or, "I can't do that certain thing," I'm like, this is BS. I'm not doing this in my 40s. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not. So I really just was researching, what's available out there to help your body, because we start to lose hormones, we start to lose like all these things that naturally we have when we're younger, they start to decline. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, how do I help my body work better? How do I provide support, just like I do with the bioidenticals, like the DHEA and the progesterone and stuff? I'm like, how do I support my body in these peptides so that my body can continue to operate as it did when it was younger, and feel good, and not have my workout suffer, and not have my sleep suffer, and not have my, relationship with my boyfriend suffer, because, when you don't have any libido, that's not good for any relationship.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Hello, menopause.
oh, yeah, it sucks. So, I was like, no, I want to feel good. I want to, stay young on the inside out. And that's really what, got me into
I
researching
love that.
about peptides. And I just, I was like, yeah. And, I did some other ones. And then I was like really looking at the GLP ones and not listening to just everything everyone was saying about them on like social
Hmm.
media, or, I don't like the news, but really looking at physicians that I actually think care about longevity and anti-aging, and actually really helping people heal holistically as a person. And like everything we're saying was like, yes, when you're doing all these other things and you make the lifestyle changes and you're still not getting the results, it's because there's something deficient that you can, potentially utilize, like for me, progesterone, right? And that helps bump my body back up. Like GLP-1 helps my body bump back up. So again, it was sort of a no-brainer. And yeah, did I lose, have I lost body fat percent? Yeah, I've lost like over 2% body fat since I got my thing tested January 30th, and again yesterday. So it's like 2.5% body fat. And again,
Nice.
I'm older, but don't just say, oh, you're getting older. That's just what happens. You lose your muscle and you gain fat. Well, I'm here to say that's bullshit. So,
I
and I'm
love how you're
saying
just like,
now
that's BS.
it's bullshit, because I'm telling you, I could have taken that as the answer, and I was like,
Hmm.
that's not the answer, or it's not my
Yeah.
answer.
It's not mine
Um,
either.
and again, like, I'm eating really well, like I eat really well, and it's not like I'm not eating or anything like that. I'm just prioritizing things. And when you have less inflammation, the workouts get easier, like all the things that people complain about. It's like, yeah, but when you have help and your body's operating better, you can do more of those things you love to do.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. Quality of life.
exactly. So, any last parting words before we hop off here? And then,
I don't think so.
yeah, I think we covered it pretty well.
I think we did too.
Maybe next time we'll talk.
We'll have to do some more talks on like some more intricate things, but there's so much like
Yeah.
with GLP-1 that people just don't, they have no idea of. Even like how it helps with inflammation in the body, and how the heart health and the brain benefits, and just mood. I have a girl here at my gym that started, and her husband, like less than I think it was like 5 weeks in, he goes, whatever that shot stuff is you're doing, don't stop because you're much nicer.
See, may cause you to have better relationships in the bedroom
Yeah.
and outside the bedroom,
Yeah.
right? Like, seriously. That's
I
so
was just like, did he really say that? And she's like, yeah, and I feel it too.
That's so cool. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really what it comes down to, is just help. Like, I mean, you know me, I've said this over and over. Like my tagline for what I do is I help people feel better, look better, so they have more time, quality time with people they love. Like
Yes.
that to me is really what life is about. So
Yeah.
definitely we have to do, more chats about this. Also, there's some other really cool peptides like BPC-157 and TB-500, which maybe we can talk about that next time. I have a bunch of
Yes.
clients that are, maybe doing that prior to surgery or after surgery. And
Yeah.
it's another really cool way to help people with something that's really safe. And you're not, in most people, it's going to work really, really well and have very, very low side effects, if at all. So
Yeah. A little
awesome.
teaser about that, about the BPC and the TB. I always forget the numbers that go with them, but I heard twice now. Once from a doctor in Florida, like that is like the specialist on peptides, and then somewhere else that can actually, I forget which one of those two it is, can actually a lot of times repair the cell back to its original state, so that it can repair
I
a deformed, not deformed, but one
like an
that's been
oxide.
altered. Yes, and it can repair it back to its really original state. And I was like, what? I was
Yeah.
like, you imagine what that could do for so impact it would have on so many lives. It's just
Yeah.
incredible.
There,
So,
yep,
yeah,
that's why they call it the Wolverine stack, because it regenerates your system at the
yeah,
cellular level. That's what's so cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I geek out about it too. Teresa, just like we're total geeks. But all right, so thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we got to be able to do this so we can basically, since people are asking, now you know.
Yeah,
Now they know. All right.
exactly, exactly. Thank you so much for asking me. This has been fun, and I can't wait to chat again.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Awesome.